Everyone kept telling me I should call more often. My neighbor Ruth, such a kind woman, used to insist on it. Cesily, she'd say, just pick up the phone. They're busy, but they'll answer. I listened. For 2 years, I listened. And I tried. But do you know what happens when you keep reaching out to people who never quite reach back? You begin to feel like an unpaid bill, something left sitting in plain sight, quietly reminding them of what they haven't done. Something that makes them uncomfortable every time they notice it. I did not want to become that. I had lived 91 years as something real, something whole. I was not going to spend the rest of my days as a lingering obligation. So I stopped calling, not out of bitterness. No, I want to be clear about that. I have known bitterness. I have held it, tasted it, and learned slowly to let it go before it could ruin me. This was not that, and if I'm being honest, this was quieter, gentler, and if I am being honest, it was something I should have understood decades earlier. But I'm moving too quickly. Let me begin again, or at least begin this chapter, because at 91, life no longer feels like beginnings. It feels like chapters. Some of them, truthfully, you would rather not revisit. It was a Wednesday, I remember, because I had made soup, real soup. Not from a can, not from those little powdered packets my daughter-in-law gives me, as though I have forgotten how to cook. No, this was proper soup, chicken, vegetables, a broth that takes its time, the kind that simmers all morning until it feels just right. I had been standing for 3 hours. My knees protested, my back made its usual complaints, but the soup was perfect. And I thought, I'll call Michael. Michael is my youngest. He lives about 40 minutes away. I imagined him coming over, sitting at the table the way he used to. So I called him and said, I made soup. Come by if you'd like. I said it lightly. I've had a lifetime of practice in saying things lightly. I did not say I hadn't seen him in 6 weeks. I did not say that some days I went without speaking to another soul. I simply said, soup, come if you want. He didn't answer. 3 hours later, a message. Sorry, Mom, crazy week, next time. Next time. I looked at those words for a long while, the way you look at something that should carry meaning but somehow doesn't, like bread that has gone stale, still recognizable but no longer nourishing. Then I turned off my phone, sat at the kitchen table, and ate alone. The soup was still good. I made sure to notice that. Something shifted in me that day. I didn't cry. I had already done plenty of that in the months before. Quiet tears mostly, in the bathroom where no one could hear. Not that there was anyone to hear. I had cried for George, my husband, who left this world 4 years ago on a gray November morning, so ordinary it felt impossible that something so immense could happen inside it. So ordinary, it felt impossible that something so immense could happen inside it. I had cried for the life we shared, 58 years, 2 months, and 11 days. Not that I was counting, though of course I always was. I had cried because I did not know how to exist in a house that used to belong to 2 people. Because loneliness had taken a shape I did not yet have words for. But that Wednesday, I did not cry. I had moved into something else, something harder and strangely something more useful. You see, when I say my children ignored me, I do not mean it in the cruel way we imagine. It is more complicated than that. They did not ignore me like a stranger. They ignored me the way people ignore things that are not urgent, like a creaking stair that still holds your weight, like a bill that isn't due just yet. I had become background noise, loved background noise, yes, but background all the same. If anything had happened to me, they would have been devastated. I know that. Michael would have fallen apart. My daughter Patricia, who lives in another state, a distance that has always felt more like a decision than geography, she would have been on the first plane, grieving in a way that was completely real and far too late. That is the truth no one tells you about growing old while being loved by your children. The love is there. It is simply inconveniently timed. It arrives at hospitals, at funerals, at holidays, and in between you are left to fill the silence yourself. For a while, and I am not proud of this, I tried to shrink, to make myself fit more easily into their lives. I stopped mentioning the trouble I was having with the front steps. I didn't tell Michael about the faucet upstairs. I became very good at saying, "I'm fine." Women of my generation are exceptional at that. It is not one of our better talents, but there is a cost to making yourself small. If you shrink long enough, you begin to disappear. Not to others, they still see you in the roles they expect, but to yourself. You become a function instead of a person, a mother, a widow, a quiet presence in a house that once held more life than it does now. And I was not willing to vanish, not at 91, not after everything. George used to say something that stayed with me. The only thing worse than being alone is being alone while someone is watching. I understood that more deeply after he was gone, because I was not unloved. I had cards, calls, photographs sent from grandchildren, and still I felt profoundly alone. Love and loneliness, it turns out, can live side by side quite comfortably. So that Wednesday, the soup, the message, the quiet, I made a decision. I would stop waiting. The first thing I did was put my phone in the kitchen drawer. Not forever. I am old, not foolish. But I stopped arranging my days around whether it rang. I stopped checking, stopped hoping. Each silent hour had begun to feel like rejection. The phone had become a tool for measuring my own absence in other people's lives. The second thing I did, I began keeping a record, not a diary. Those are too honest for my liking. This was simpler. A small notebook. Each day I wrote down one thing I had done. Not felt, done, made, soup. Watered the African violet. George gave me 11 years ago, still alive, against all expectation. Read several chapters of a novel. Sat outside and watched a bird build something in the oak tree with a determination I found quietly beautiful. Proof that I was still a person who acted, not merely one things happened to. The third thing I did, well, that is where everything truly began. I went for a walk. I have lived on this street for 31 years, long enough to watch neighbors come and go, long enough to know which houses feel lived in and which feel like they are holding their breath. Next door had been empty for quite some time. Then, about 8 months earlier, a young woman moved in. Her name, I later learned, was Annika. She had a small daughter, 4, perhaps 5, full of energy and noise and life. I had waved to her a few times. She always waved back, but with the exhaustion of someone carrying too much alone. I recognized that look. I had worn it once myself. That Thursday when I passed her house, she was sitting on the front steps, still, quiet. She looked finished, like someone who had set everything down and wasn't sure what came next. I should have kept walking. That would have been the polite thing, but I didn't. I sat beside her. She startled, of course, and I said gently, "You look like someone who could use 5 minutes without being asked for anything." She stared at me, then said, "That may be the most accurate thing anyone has said to me in months." We sat there in silence for a while. The roses nearby carried their late-season scent. The light turned golden in that fleeting way September does, as though everything is briefly worth saving. And then she began to speak, not about anything grand at first, just the ordinary weight of a life that had become heavier than expected, a quiet divorce, a distant family, a child she loved deeply and cared for mostly alone. She was tired in a way sleep does not fix. I listened. When she finished, she looked embarrassed. "I don't know why I told you all that," she said. "Because I sat down," I replied softly, "and I didn't ask you anything." She laughed then, a surprised, unguarded laugh. I liked her immediately. Her daughter Lena appeared soon after and looked at me with complete seriousness. "Are you old?" she asked. "Yes," I said, "extremely." She nodded, satisfied. And just like that, something new began. Within weeks, Lena was coming over in the afternoons. Annika needed an hour. I needed something. We baked, we read, we talked about everything and nothing. And slowly, without quite realizing it, I stopped feeling like a person who was waiting. I became a person who was living again. And that, more than anything, changed everything.